Today on the Morning Edition, the state is reallocating funds away from Anchorage roads, which is concerning Anchorage Assembly members. We'll tell you why and what's being done. Plus, back in 2001, an iconic park in the interior changed its name from Alaska Land to Pioneer Park, but now the name may be reverting to the original. There's people in support and opposed. We'll hear from both sides to understand why. And later, an aspiring chef is given a chance to run his own restaurant for a day. The kicker, nothing major, just that he's only 10 years old. We'll step inside and take a table to find out how it went as the Morning Edition starts now. Good Monday morning, everyone. If you were given the opportunity at 10 years old to experience what you wanted to do when you were 10, would you be standing here?
When I was 10, probably not. I think I wanted to be a teacher or an officer at that age. I'd have to go back. I wanted to do so many things as a child that, I'm here though, so.
It's always fun hearing the different
things
aspirations.
changed as I grew up.
Well, is this weather going to change anytime soon? Because it is cold.
Yeah, we're going to continue to hold on to these bitter cold conditions. In fact, today may actually be the coldest day that we'll see so far this season, with many areas across South Central potentially staying below zero throughout the afternoon hours. Now, we're waking up this morning to 3 below at Ted Stevens. With that said, parts of Midtown and East Anchorage continue to fare a lot colder than what West Anchorage is sitting at. As a result, we're seeing 12 below in Merrifield as well as Muldoon, 6 below in Eagle River, and the hillside also seeing those temperatures this morning sitting at 12 below. Many areas across South Central waking up to those sub-zero values. Thankfully, those winds did die down through the night. We did see some gusty conditions for a good portion of South Central. Of course, most of those strong winds through the weekend were through the valley out towards Valdez, Thompson Pass. And we did see some gusty conditions here across the Anchorage Bowl. That did lead to some brutal wind chills at times. And of course, you can see the coldest location this morning into the Copper River Basin, where Golconda is sitting at 27 below to start off the morning. Faring a lot warmer as you head out towards Homer and southwestern parts of the Kenai, but still seeing those single-digit lows to start off the day. And you can see for many areas, we may actually stay below zero through a good portion of the day. So bundle up if you're going to be heading outside. Make sure you carry that chapstick with you, your gloves, as well as your hats, your hat or beanie if you're going to be outside for extended periods of time, as we are going to continue to hold on to this cold weather pattern. Now, leading up to Christmas, we are going to see a slow but gradual warming trend taking place across the region. That will only bring the potential that we could see highs by Christmas Day warming right around 10 degrees, but still cold. And you can see the average temperature over the last 2 weeks has been well below where we should be for this time of year, and that is going to continue across South Central. I'll have more on that, as well as if we'll finally see some snow in the forecast before the end of the year. Those details in that 7-day coming up.
Police are asking for your help after a woman missing since earlier this month was found dead near a popular Anchorage trail. On Friday, 28-year-old Caitlin Cagnak's body was found near the Basher trailhead. Police responded shortly after 12 p.m. Cagnak was reported missing on December 9th, and detectives said they worked daily on the case using canine units and search and rescue teams. Investigators ask anyone with information about what happened to contact Anchorage Police or Crime Stoppers. Anchorage police are also asking for help in an ongoing investigation. Detectives say 72-year-old Richard Lee Creamer has been indicted on multiple counts of sexual abuse of a minor. This picture from 2019 was released by APD. He was arrested Friday. Investigators say Creamer moved to Alaska in the 70s, worked in restaurants and hospitality, and volunteered as a youth sports coach. Authorities believe there may be more victims and are asking anyone with information to contact police or call Crime Stoppers. A celebration of life was held for Palmer's Fire and Rescue Chief Chad Cameron Saturday. As taps played in the background, dozens of emergency vehicles escorted the procession, honoring him. This video was taken as the processional moved from Palmer to Anchorage. The department confirmed Cameron died after a battle with brain cancer. Department chaplain Cindy Rao described Cameron as a hands-on leader who put people first. Palmer Fire and Rescue says Cameron's leadership shaped the department for years, and his impact will be felt long after his passing. The state is reallocating millions in federal funds for Anchorage roads, something assembly members in the state's largest city are worried may make safety concerns even worse. We know 5 different locations are being impacted by this funding. The Department of Transportation says this is the first year demand exceeded available funding and that the decision was not Anchorage specific. Still, Assembly member Aaron Baldwin-Day says the cuts hit especially hard here, where pedestrian fatalities remain a major concern.
Since I've been a part of AMAS and the Anchorage Assembly, there are bureaucratic processes that are getting in the way of us really being able to address the safety crisis that's unfolding on our roadways. And by and large, the roadways where people are dying.
A DOT spokesperson says the commissioner could still return that funding to Anchorage. Baldwin-Day is now calling on the governor and the legislature to make that happen. An iconic interior park known to both locals and tourists is under consideration for a name change. Some are all for it, others not so much. Pioneer Park, formerly known as Alaska Land, changed its name in 2001. Many in Fairbanks refused to use the new name, feeling it was alienating to the native culture. Now, the Borough Assembly is considering an ordinance to change the name back to Alaska Land, but one concern is the $50,000 price tag.
The businesses and nonprofits who operate in Pioneer Park will also have to have costs. Their brochures and advertisements in various tourist publications will all have to be redone.
They're members in our community. That it recalls a very painful time in their history as Alaskans. And so I think it's absolutely worth it to make it welcoming and inclusive for everyone in our community.
It has always been Alaska Land. It will always be Alaska Land. I've been here 42 years, and I still call it Alaska Land. I don't know why they changed it.
The Parks and Recreation Commission is expected to consider the name change again in March. For all our folks across the Anchorage celebrating the winter solstice over the weekend, over at Hilltop Ski Area, they had festivities going on all day long. Charlie Fellows was there.
The winter solstice in the last frontier, and here at Hilltop Ski Area in Anchorage, folks taking advantage of what little daylight we do have to come out here and shred on these slopes. But that's not all they can do. They've got food trucks, a photo booth, a beer garden, and even Santa himself has made an appearance. And of course, so have his reindeer. How else would he have gotten here? Fun all around.
You know, we love this because it starts the beginning of gaining some light back, right? So we figured we'd throw a celebration. We've done this for the last few years. We got lots of people flowing through. And even on a cold day, we're surprised how many people are coming out so far, but it's great.
And I mentioned that limited daylight, but that's not stopping anyone here at Hilltop. Starting at 4 o'clock, skiers and snowboarders being able to do their thing under the warm, soft light of torchlight. And at 5 o'clock, enjoying a fireworks show. Life goes on here in the last frontier, even when the sun sets at 3:45. From Hilltop Ski Area, Charlie Fellows, Alaska's news source.
Hilltop wasn't the only place with solstice festivities. All across the Anchorage municipality, there were celebrations marked with light, music, and cold weather fun. The municipality hosted its annual Winter Solstice Festival, bringing people together for holiday music, special guests from the North Pole, and even ice skating on an Olympic-sized ice rink. Organizers say the event is about more than celebration. It's about welcoming the return of light as days slowly begin to grow longer. Crowds turned out to enjoy the festivities and take in the seasonal tradition despite frigid temperatures. Alaska and Hawaii have many things in common. However, weather is not one of them. Tourism is unequivocally a common denominator between the two states. Now, Anchorage and the island of Maui both passed new regulations on vacation rentals. Joe Alga tells us that Maui took a pretty drastic new action while Anchorage is testing the waters.
The point that I really want to make is that we are here extending a privilege to short-term rental owners to a certain business model that we are not extending to hotels.
This has been a very challenging proposal, one of the hardest that I have come across. And as I said earlier, I don't think this is going to work.
On Monday, the Maui County Council passed a law that will rid the island of thousands of vacation rentals, a contentious decision.
But we got to air it out. Everybody got to hear what was said. A decision was made, and now we're going to do the best we can to implement it.
Now, Anchorage isn't doing the exact same thing, but passed a new law Tuesday night requiring owners to register their short-term rentals with the Muni. Shortly after that, they discussed a 5% rental tax.
So we're not putting any constraints on the operators right now. The short-term rental tax is a separate piece of legislation with different sponsors on it, and that actually failed.
Zach Johnson co-sponsored the registration law, hoping to pin down the numbers on how many rentals are in Anchorage.
We don't really have a clear picture right now of how many short-term rentals there are, where they are, things like that. The sort of information we'd want to have if we're going to make informed policy decisions going forward, right? I mean, otherwise you're just kind of taking a shot in the dark.
Girdwood is in Johnson's district and has a high number of short-term rentals.
About a quarter of the housing stock in Girdwood right now is being used for short-term rentals. That is undeniably having an impact on the housing market to where locals are really just getting priced out.
Johnson voted against the short-term rental tax, and he's not entirely sure about Maui's new law either.
But these are conversations that, you know, we need to keep having, right? Because especially in communities like Girdwood, we need to figure out a way to create housing that actually works for that community.
Joe Allgood, Alaska's news source.
Still ahead on the morning edition, a new solution is on the horizon addressing the yearly glacial lake outburst floods that have been troubling the region. We'll fill you on the details next.
And today begins that slow but gradual increase in daylight. We're gaining 9 seconds in Anchorage, 7 seconds in Juneau, but we're still holding on to some of that bitter cold air. I'll have more on that in that 7-day forecast for you coming up.
Welcome back in on this Monday morning. Yesterday was the solstice era, and so we're finally gaining some daylight, albeit very little, but at least we're gaining now.
Yeah, shortest day of the year yesterday at 5 hours and 27 minutes of daylight. Of course, we're only gaining 9 seconds today, so we're still sitting at 5 hours and 27 minutes of daylight. Very slow to start off, but by the end of January, we'll be gaining 5 minutes of daylight a day, or a week, a day is what I should be saying. But certainly starting off on the slower side with that 9 seconds gaining today. And of course, by the middle to the end of April, we'll be sitting at over 15 hours of daylight all the way up to June. We'll be seeing over 19 hours of daylight. So again, a slow but steady climb in increasing daylight that we will see. And it has been a chilly month across not only South Central, but a good portion of the state. The only exception is areas of the Aleutians. You notice we started off the month with those warmer conditions. That's where we did see some areas of freezing rain, and we did see some light snow accumulation to start off the month. But since then, we've been cold, we've been dry, and we've been holding on to plenty of sunshine and, of course, some gusty conditions. And the average temperature for the month of December coming in at just over 16 degrees with an average temperature departure of about 3.7 degrees. And there it is. You can see this last stretch of weather that we did see last week was the coldest that we've seen so far this season. And today has that potential to be even colder, where we'll see some parts of South Central likely staying below zero throughout the day. Sitting at 40 below this morning in Fairbanks, 27 below in McGrath. Temperatures are warming out west. This is where we've got some incoming snow, some blowing snow, and some gusty winds to be expected. And of course, still holding on to some of those colder conditions out towards southeast, where we're seeing a temperature of 5 degrees in Juneau and 19 in Ketchikan. Not much going on across eastern parts of the state, but there's that area of low pressure out towards the northwest Arctic borough. And of course, we've got that increasing snow that remains with us. Now, across South Central, we did see those gusty conditions through the weekend. That was our third consecutive weekend of seeing some winds. Outside of some gap winds from Seward out towards Valdez, the activity has died down across the region. We'll see a lot calmer conditions in terms of winds today. But one thing we're going to be watching as we lead up to Christmas is that snow out west. While it will largely fall apart as it moves into South Central, there will be the potential that we could see a few stray flurries as we welcome in Christmas Eve and at Christmas Day. But largely expecting this stretch of dry weather to carry us through at least the end of this week. And then by this weekend, we may see a chance for some snow in the forecast. So slowly warming conditions. We may make a run near 10 degrees leading up to your Christmas Day. And then those overnight lows also steadily warming, but still expected to see many areas with some sub-zero values. And then there's that chance as we welcome in the latter portion of this week and into the weekend where we'll see a chance for some light snow. For the most part, don't hold your breath this weekend. Any snow showers we do see will remain fairly light as we're still sitting up under a really dry Arctic cold weather pattern. And with that being the case, any moisture that does move into the region, Christian, will largely fall apart before it hits the ground. But we are watching that slight chance we can see some snow into the weekend.
All right. Thanks, Aaron. Well, the city and borough of Juneau announced that it may have a solution to the Glacial Lake outbursts floods that have hit the city the last few years. It's called the Lake Tap Alternative, and it's an ambitious project that the CBJ and its partners think could solve the problem of flooding that has become worse over the past few years. It happens when Suicide Basin, which drains into Mendenhall Lake and the Mendenhall River, releases all of its built-up water at once, which overflows the lake and floods the surrounding areas. The lake tap would be a tunnel between the basin and the lake that allows the water to slowly drain at all times, which would hopefully prevent a sudden release. CBJ Director of Engineering and Public Works explains it best.
I love metaphors, so I think about if you use a bathtub metaphor, and Suicide Basin is the bathtub, and the bathtub fills up with water through the summertime. The metaphorical plug at the bottom, you pull it all at once, the water fully rushes out of that bathtub and really drains it. What a lake tap would do in this metaphor is kind of keep the drain at the bottom of the bathtub a little bit open all the time.
The Army Corps is doing a more in-depth study on the viability and cost of the lake tap. City officials say the result of that will come out in May. After that, it'll be about getting the funds and equipment to actually build it. That could take as long as 6 years until it's complete.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcasts from Alaska's news source automatically and stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.